Earlier this month, US President Donald Trump made headlines after signing an executive order to rename the Gulf of Mexico as Gulf of America. Google and Apple have since rectified their maps, but the Associated Press news agency has not. The renaming of the water body has caused a worldwide controversy. It's generated resentment in Mexico, which lost half of its territory to the US in the 19th century. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum has threatened to take Google to court. Ragini Sudhir Chaure reports.
An oceanic basin in North America is making news because of its name. The name you call it, but depends on who you follow and where you live. For some, it's Gulf of Mexico, while others are calling it the Gulf of America. US President Donald Trump signed an executive order on his first day in office, renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America.
And we're flying right over it right now. So we thought this would be appropriate. Even bigger than the Super Bowl. This is a big thing. And almost everybody now has assented to that.
Attention on board, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters, for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well. That's a good. Yeah. Make America great again, right? That's what we care about. Okay, here we go. So this is a famous pen now.
Following the signing of the order, Trump signed a Gulf of America Day proclamation on 9th of February on board Air Force One as he flew over the Gulf. In the US, the Geographic Names Information System has officially updated Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. While Trump can direct the US Geological Survey to change how it denotes the Gulf of Mexico, such a name change would be unlikely to be recognized internationally. Google shared a blog acknowledging the change. It said, and I quote, "As we announced 2 weeks ago and consistent with our long-standing practices, we have begun rolling out changes to reflect this update," unquote. People using maps in the US will see Gulf of America and people in Mexico will see Gulf of Mexico, unquote. Everyone else will see both names. Ownership, meanwhile, of the Gulf of Mexico is a matter of international agreement. According to Sovereign Limits, an international boundary database, the US controls 46% of the Gulf, while Mexico holds a larger share of 49%. Cuba controls the remaining 5%. But the Trump government is adamant. Trump said on 18th of February that he will block the Associated Press news agency from the Oval Office and Air Force One until it stops referring to the Gulf of Mexico. The AP, citing its editorial standards, said that it would continue to use the Gulf's established name. AP said in its style book that Gulf of Mexico has carried that name for more than 400 years. Therefore, it will refer to the Gulf by its original name to ensure that place names and geography are easily recognizable to readers around the world while acknowledging the new name Trump has chosen. The White House has kept the AP out of several press pools during the past week, calling the news agency's decision divisive and misinformation. Most news organizations continue to call the body of water the Gulf of Mexico. So does Reuters news agency. But where relevant, the Reuters style is to include the context about Trump's executive order. On 19th of February, Mexico President Claudia Sheinbaum threatened to sue Google over the company renaming the Gulf of Mexico as Gulf of America on Google Maps. The name on Google Map remains the Gulf of Mexico for Mexican users and shows both names for users outside the two countries. She warned that her government will take action if Google continues to claim the entire body of water.
So, Google is wrong. Then they responded to our letters and the foreign minister answered no, that they are wrong. That you cannot call the entire Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. The decree was given again and they were told what the international norms are. So if they keep insisting, we are also considering a lawsuit.
Sin subordinación.
According to Schonbaum, the Gulf of Mexico had been named the way since 1607. She said that the change reflects a unilateral decision by the US government, which she argues is not recognized internationally. She emphasized that the US can only apply such a name change within its sovereignty territory, 22 nautical miles from its coast. Schonbaum cheekily suggested that North America, including the US, be renamed as Mexican America, pointing to a 17th century world map showing North America as Mexican America. Maritime zones are classified based on proximity to the nation's coast. Territorial waters fall under full national jurisdiction, while exclusive economic zones grant rights over resources such as fish, oil, and gas. Additionally, parts of the water body extend into high seas, where countries retain rights only to be seabed's natural resources. The International Hydrographic Organization, set up a century ago, works to survey the world's seas and oceans and is the closest to an authority on harmonizing names for international waters. United Nations also has an expert group on geographical names, which opens its next meeting on 28th of April. Martin H. Levinson, President Emeritus of the Institute of General Semantics, said it was unknown how much political capital Trump would invest in seeking more recognition by other countries. The name war has been going since 2012, when a legislator in the U.S. state Mississippi made headlines with a proposal to rename the section of the Gulf of Mexico bordering the state's beaches as the Gulf of America. Though the lawmaker later dismissed it as a joke, the bill was referred to a committee, but it never got passed. Interestingly, this idea isn't entirely new. In 2010, following the devastating Deepwater Horizon oil spill, comedian Stephen Colbert suggested renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, referencing the famous saying, "You break it, you buy it." Disputes over names of places aren't uncommon. The Sea of Japan has been a long-standing point of contention between Japan, North Korea, South Korea, and Russia. South Korea argues that the name only became widely used when Korea was under the Japanese rule. In response, a 2020 International Hydrographic Organization meeting proposed replacing names with the numerical identifiers for standardization. Similarly, the Persian Gulf, a term widely used since the 16th century, faces competing claims, with many West Asian nations preferring Arabian Gulf. In 2012, Iran threatened to take legal action against Google for omitting the name altogether from its maps. The South China Sea has also been a bone of contention. In 2013 speech, the then US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, while referring China's extensive territorial claims, joked that the US could have named the Pacific Ocean as the American Sea after Second World War. US has also advocated maintaining a 2018 deal where Greece agreed for its northern neighbor to change its name to North Macedonia from Macedonia, but Athens ultimately rejected due to historical associations with Alexander the Great. Even on the US-Mexico border, the river separating the US state of Texas from Mexico has different names. The US calls it Rio Grande. Mexicans refer to it as Rio Bravo. Ragini Sudhir Chauri for DD India.